All right, let's. Can you guys hear me now? Is that working? All right, we're gonna switch to that mic. All right. How are things going now? Okay. You guys hear an echo at all? Hear an echo? How about now? No. All right. How about now? Any echo? One, two, three. Testing. One, two, three. How about now? Is there any echo, guys? Okay, go ahead. Keep talking. All right, so let's go ahead and kick it off. And remember, since you're hearing audio, you're probably going to provide some feedback there. Sorry again, guys, for the live stream challenges that we have today. Trust me, we did a lot of testing before we kick things off today, but things always happen. So now that we have everybody and you guys can hear us, I wanted to give you guys some background on today's live stream. First of all, today we're going to be covering a lot of great information for those of you who are still on the fence and not understanding which laser you should be picking, especially because there are so many lasers now in the xTool lineup. And you can see there's quite a few here. Give you some background before we actually go into everything that you see here on things that we do. So, Milton Santiago, aka EBPMAN from EBPMAN Tech Reviews, and I cover consumer electronics, which includes MakerTech. But not only do we cover MakerTech, we also have our own small business as well. So Nola has a laser engraving business that she runs, and I am her employee. I do all the technical support and all the hardware set up for her, but then help her with her engraving and also her 3D printing. In addition to running EBPMAN tech reviews, I also work with a lot of companies, startups, small, big, large companies, as well as small businesses that are looking to grow their business. And then I've been having a lot of conversations about laser engraving, even with some very large companies that are close to the size of, let's say, some of those large manufacturers that have cups that I won't name the actual brand, but you know what I'm talking about, that are looking to create personalization at their store or even online. So there's a lot of, I would say, change happening in the personalization space that comes with lasers. And the cool thing about today's live stream is we're going to talk about which is the right laser for you. We also have some fantastic deals that xTool is providing, that they're providing as a sponsor of this video, where we're going to give you a deal where you're going to be able to save on top of the great Black Friday deals. And there's also 2 additional, or actually 3 gifts that are going to take place throughout the stream, but it's going to require your participation. That is going to give you an additional $100 off on top of the discount that you're going to get today. So there's some really good deals that you'll be able to get the lowest price of pretty much the season when it comes to the technology and the lasers that xTool has to offer. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and first of all, okay, now we got an echo, guys. Sorry. All right, can you guys hear me? No, but make sure you have your thing off. Yes. All right, try this again. All right, can you guys hear me now? All right, I'm going to try to get rid of that echo. Can you guys hear it? What a little nightmare today in audio. I know. Tell me about it. I'm using some different tech, guys. I don't typically use this streaming service, but it's better. All right, so we're going to try to get through it with that. All right, so let's talk about lasers. Today, there's going to be a couple things going on. We're going to be offering a $50 coupon. So stick with me. I know we're having some audio issues. $50 coupon towards the purchase of a xTool laser. And that's going to be on top of the Black Friday deals that they have going on right now. And again, that's going to be the lowest deal that you'll be able to get. We also have some gifts, $100 gift card and another $100 gift card, and one more at the very end that you'll be able to stack on top. So that means that today you have the possibility to get up to $150 off your next laser. That's a good deal given the low prices that they have right now. So I just wanted to disclose that. You could actually, during this live stream, use the discount code, and you can see that the discount code is EBPMAN50. EBPMAN50, right, is the discount code. So let's talk about what we're here about, and that is about lasers.
And there are so many lasers right now in the xTool lineup, and it's probably the most exciting time to get into laser engraving. Better than any ever before because there's so much variety now. You're looking at the possibility of not just the 3 lasers that you have here, but you also have 2 legacy lasers, actually probably 3 more. So there's about 6 portable lasers that you can choose from. Massive opportunities when it comes to, again, personalization and starting your business. And I get this question all the time. I'll get a ping, I'll get a text, or I'll get something on Facebook or YouTube, and someone will ask, hey, which laser should I buy? That's the number one question. But actually, that's the wrong question. The right question is to ask yourself, who is your customer? And I wanted to show you a couple things here. So take a look at this slide and think about who is your customer, because the next answer I get when I ask the question, who is your customer, is I don't know who my customer is. I've never done this before. I don't have an Etsy store. I don't have a Shopify store. I don't have a physical store. So I go into the conversation as, do you have friends? And I hope that you have friends. If you're a parent, do you have children in school, college level or high school level, or even grammar school, kindergarten? Do you have your children in sports? Do you participate in the PTA? Do you participate or know friends that are realtors? Your circle of influence is significant if you take a step back and think about this for a couple seconds. Because before you choose your laser, you have to choose, once again, who you're selling to. That's going to be the number one thing. And as soon as you figure that out, you're going to be able to determine what products you're going to be engraving, and that will lead into the type of laser you're going to choose. So as you take a look at this, if you're, for example, thinking about parents and you have children that are in sports, you're thinking about tumblers, bag tags. You're looking at so many different things that you can provide the children and even teachers during this time, that they could actually sell those, your kids could sell those, or you can sell those. And it's not even a hard sell. As soon as your child walks into the school with some type of tumbler with their name on it, and maybe even the school name on it, someone's gonna ask, where did you get that? If someone has a bag tag, that bag tag, someone will see it and they'll ask. We learned just a couple of weeks ago from a young girl in a different state that when she participates in her sport, every student gets a bag that's provided by the school. Unfortunately, no one knows whose bag is whose. So think about that. You have 20 kids, all have the same bag, and no one knows whose bag belongs to who. That's what we're talking about, and that's where there's a laser opportunity. So figure out who your customer is, and then figure out what products you want to engrave, and then that's going to give you a sense of which laser. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the very first giveaway, right? And what I'd like you to do in the comment area is answer the basic question. Who is in your circle of influence? So I'd like for you to say, are you a parent? And that would be school, right, as your influence circle. If you're not a parent, but you may know realtors, right, or lawyers, any kind of business professional, what I'd like you to do is, in order to get this next bonus, which is going to be $100 off the Black Friday deals, you need to tell me who is in your circle of influence. I'll give you guys a second, and I'm going to take a look at the chat to see what you guys are putting out there for your circle of influence. Let's go ahead and take a look. I see teachers. Susie says teachers. We have medical field, realtors. Teachers from Jenny. Yeah, look at that. Co-worker married to a realtor. Yes. Restaurants, schools, clubs, organizations, boards, community members, hospitals and doctors, local events and small business, family and friends. You know what? Family and friends are a big, big opportunity. You don't know, we started our business with what they say 3 F's: friends, family, and fools. Well, the fools you don't want to go into, but that's what people talk about. This is good. Nursing. Uh-oh, correction center? When you say corrections, are you talking like law enforcement? Look at this. Car dealerships. Yes, love car dealerships. Gun shop, Rotary Club, carpenters. Look at this. So guys, this is what you have to think about first. You have to think about who is in your circle, and that circle is going to help you understand what laser you're going to choose. This is great. All right, so let's go ahead and keep on going with the actual presentation. That's awesome. Keep on posting, and what we'll do is we'll go on to the next slide. So there are 3 lasers, and I put the laser costs, but more importantly, I put features. And we're going to start with this little guy right here. This is the F2. F2, fantastic product. It is a diode and IR laser that's going to be able to engrave almost everything. And I say almost everything because what it can't engrave, there's always a way around it. So it could engrave slate, it can engrave wood, it can engrave plastics with the appropriate coating. And it's kind of iffy with the plastics. You want to be really careful with that. I'd actually recommend don't do plastics, but I'm more speaking about acrylic as a material. You could also then do metals. You could do, marble to a certain extent, and shale. And again, this would be with additional coating and filling because it's really hard to do, but it's something that you could get there. There's so many different materials that you can engrave with the F tool, and it's small and it's super powerful. Now, one of the things that I really like about this laser, and I'm an owner of the F1 OG. The F1 OG basically was a great little laser, but didn't have a camera. It also didn't have the power to go fast when it came to jewelry. Literally, when Nil and I are engraving jewelry, and we're, let's say, at a pet event or some other event, it could take 10 minutes for someone to get their piece of jewelry. I want you to think about this for a second. 10 minutes. The next person in line, right, has to wait 10 minutes before the first person gets taken care of. The third person is waiting 20 minutes, the fourth person, and it keeps on adding 40, 50, 60 minutes. Basically, there's too much time. And that's been a challenge for us when we had the F1. So we took a lot of orders that we did live, but then we basically took many orders home and created the products and then shipped them out because we just would back up our line unless you have 2 F1s. So with the F2, though, we can engrave at speeds that are incredible. I've been able to get a really nice black mark in under a minute. Now, I'm not doing deep cutting engraves. I'm doing black marking where it's not disappearing, it's not lightening up after use, but it's going to be adequate. People love the way it looks. They don't really feel any kind of deep marking. And we've been able to then cut that line into seconds. So the F2, fantastic laser, and it's going to cover so many different products. And this is great for someone who is a beginner or a hobbyist, right? And beginner or hobbyist, somebody who's not using a laser every single day, someone who's just trying to experiment, someone who's thinking about side hustle that they're trying to think about. They want to do something, but they don't want to make a big investment because you're looking at a really reasonable investment of $1349. Now, the next one, and we don't have it here, but I have its predecessor, is the F2 Ultra. Now, the F2 Ultra could do everything that an F2 can do. This little guy, it just can do it faster, and it can do it bigger. And when we shift to actually looking at these products, I want you to see, you'll be able to see how much bigger the engraving area is. And I'll give you kind of like a little tease of what this looks like. You're looking at 4-inch by 4-inch area that you can engrave versus an 8.6 area that you can engrave. That's the difference of engraving, let's say, for example, 9 bottle stoppers versus over 20 in one shot. And that makes a big difference when you're working in a large area that you have a lot of products that you have to get out. One of the areas that the F2 Ultra excels in is if you are a jewelry maker and you want to cut metal, this is the cutter for you. If you want to emboss coins, challenger coins, you have military friends, you have law enforcement friends, the F2 Ultra, that is the laser for you because it does 2 things. It has 2 lasers. It has a fiber laser, MOPA laser, and actually has, I mistyped that. It has a diode and a MOPA laser that gives you the ability to engrave on wood and on metal. So you're going to be able to do both types of materials. And that gives you, again, a lot of flexibility. Now, the UV, which I have here next to me, is unique. And at first, when people think about UV, they think about glass. The first thing they think about is absolutely glass. But it does more than just glass. It actually does everything that every laser can do on this list except cutting and deep embossing. It's not built for that. But it can engrave on virtually every material. And it does it really well at a detail that is like, if you thought about old TVs or TVs that are 1080p, and then you see a 4K, 8K, or 16K, That's the difference with the F2 Ultra UV. It is going to give you high resolution quality. Now, a couple things that I get asked as well is, how portable are these lasers? Which is the most portable laser for me? F2, hands down, it's a 10-pound laser. You can carry it with one hand. It fits in a backpack. It is the most portable. And that's the one that we take with us now when we used to have the F1. It is the most portable one. The next one would be the F2 Ultra. But when I say portable, now you're talking almost 50 pounds. Like it's like 46 pounds. So it's not something that I would say you're going to carry at one arm. You're probably going to bear hug it or have a luggage cart with you or something that you're going to be carrying it in because it's a heavy laser. But it's still portable. And I say it's portable because they all have shields. They all have these protective shields that really protect the eyesight of you who is doing the work and then anyone else who's watching. So it's portable. The F2 Ultra, I would say it falls into a portable category as well, but it's heavy. It's actually heavier than the F2 Ultra diode with the actual MOPA. It is actually a couple pounds. It's like 49 pounds versus 46. But it's also something that you can carry. Hey, I put it on our countertop. I moved it from one floor to another, and I didn't have a problem with it. But if you're going to move it from your car, from your truck to some formal location, it's going to require you to bear hug it or have something to carry it in. Now, one of the things that this machine can do also, I call it the master of all materials because it can engrave so many different materials, and also it does metal really well. I actually prefer the UV for jewelry than I do the actual MOPA. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me, but for my usage and the type of products that we produce, we don't cut, and our clientele isn't asking for deep engraves. They're looking for a black mark, a durable black mark, and I can get it with the UV, and I can get it at a detail level that is absolutely amazing. Every single person, when they see what's created off of the UV, say wow, right? And I could go also super small. Now, the other thing I just wanted to highlight is that you can do inner glass, and I do have some inner glass examples here. And the one thing that you have to think about if you want to go into inner glass engraving is sourcing the glass. I actually was hoping to show you inner glass engraving in this video, but I'm not going to be able to do it because I don't have glass. I ordered some glass, and the glass was not the right glass. Even though it was advertised as the right one, it was not the glass that can engrave. So what we'll be doing is I'll be showing you how we can engrave shot glasses, and we're going to be engraving shot glasses in under a minute, right? And that's also a big business. We saw some people saying that the circle of influence that they had was restaurants. This is something that we also work with restaurants, and restaurants need shot glasses, standard glasses, all types of drinkware that are engraved, and we can do that. We also work with bottles, like liquor bottles, and this thing does an incredible job when it comes to liquor bottles. So those are the three lasers. Those are the areas of focus. And when you look at this slide, you basically start with a whole bunch of materials that you can engrave. And as you go from left to right, you're basically seeing that you go faster, you go deeper, you go more powerful. And then when you look at the UV, it's just a multiplayer. It could just do mostly everything except cut, emboss, just like the, again, what you're looking with the F2 Ultra. Now, some accessories that I would recommend, and you're seeing them on the bottom right there, and I'm moving my pointer around them. Those right there are must-haves. They're not optional accessories. If you're going to engrave on site, you need an air purifier. If you're going to have the F2, you're going to get the desktop purifier. If you have an F1 Ultra or an F2 Ultra or an F2 Ultra UV, you really want to get the AP2. That's what we have. Now, I realize that it's a big investment, and we sometimes take two lasers on site. We'll take an F2 and maybe a larger laser, depending on the type of work that we're doing. And so what I've done is I have a splitter that splits the AP2 into two, so I can have two lasers going into the same air purifier. And that's worked out really well for us, and that may be something that you would consider as well. The other item that I would say is an optional accessory, but I put it in the must-have, is going to be the RA3. The rotary is also key, especially when you're doing glass. It's just great. And then actually, when you're doing any kind of Yeti or tumbler or any kind of tumbler brand, also having a rotary is a good thing to have. So let's get into the next question. And this is going to support the next giveaway. Which laser will help you start your business, run your business, or grow your business? right? Those are the three categories. And what I'd like you to do for me is to type in start, because you're starting your business, and tell us which laser. If you are running a business, tell us you're running and the laser. If you are growing your business, right, tell us growing and then the laser. So let's go to the comments and see what people are saying in the comment area. What laser type? And xTool is on. They'll be choosing the actual winners of these raffles. So what are you guys going to do? Again, this is for the next raffle. So you're starting a business with the F2, perfect. Uh-oh, Kent's got deep pockets. He's saying all three. Start UV, look at that. Expand my business with UV. Cheryl's growing. Carlos is growing with the UV. Starting hopefully with the F2 UV, look at that. That's good, starts with UVs. I'm seeing a lot of start with UV. F2, good. Starting F2 Ultra, growing with the UV. Start with UV. Look at that. Start F2 Ultra and UV. That's a serious right there. Start UV. Look at all those. MOPA. Start and grow with the F2. Running F2 UV. Running and growing with F2 Ultra UV. Oh, look at gun shop owner, F2 Ultra. Putting another one in the gun shop. Financing, they want the UV. I'm sure there's options for that. Oh, look at this. Epilogue F2 Ultra P3 and growing into the UV. Can UV do color metal tags? Yes, you can do color with UV, but UVs is slow. If you really want to go color, you want to use the MOPA. But I would say, think about what you're going to do with color. If you're running a business, you want to be able to make products fast and get them out the door. And if you're going to do color, make sure you charge appropriately, because color takes time. We time every single product we make, and we look at profitability based on product. The faster we can engrave, the more money you make. The longer it takes, the less money you make. Remember, you have to pay yourself. So watch out for those colors. MOPA. I place lasers inside the other businesses and it takes a percentage. Good. Mike, that's a smart way to do it. Getting ready to retire. Mary, there's a lot of people like you that are looking to retire and are looking. I have a cousin that tells me she doesn't want to wear a blue vest. So her goal to retire is to actually do laser engraving. No offense to those of you who wear blue vests. We're talking about, the W company. But that's what she tells me. She says, I'm going to do lasers. I'm not going to wear a blue vest. How do you track data? Are you talking about laser engraving in time? And how do we quantify and monitor that? I use an application, something that we developed to do that. So we look at, we price every job based on time, material, and laser time. So when I say time, it's Nilda's time, my time, both for managing and packaging, and then also how much time it takes to engrave. So to give you guys an example, pens, metal pens, we have the process down so tight that we can make $400 an hour engraving pens. And that's because we actually timed how long it takes to engrave the pen, how long does it take to put the pen on our jigs, how long does it take us to box the pen and prepare the package for shipping. And that process, we could do so many pens in an hour based on how much we charge for pens that it equates to $400 an hour. No joke. All right, have to an upgrade. Excellent. F2 to F2 Ultra. All right, guys, keep it going. I'm going to go on to the next slide. I appreciate you guys sticking there with me. xTool is watching. So a couple other things. So this goes back to where we started. And I wanted to help you really think about this because, again, my number one question is, which laser do I choose? You have to ask yourself, do you use the laser sometimes? Are you using the laser as a side hustle? Or are you truly someone who's focused on business? Right? And if you think about this, sometimes you want to watch your investment. And I saw a lot of you saying that you were going to start, right? And it's a good starter laser, the F2. If you have the pockets though, you'll want to also consider one of the other ones. And I will tell you, having done this now for several years, every laser maker I know has more than one. I've never seen one that says, I do everything with one laser. And even when you look at the chat, guys, you'll notice that there are people that have 1, 2, 3, or 4 lasers. But the worst thing that you could do is, if you're starting your business, is go head first and just buy a whole bunch of stuff. Because if you don't know who your customer is and you don't know your product, then you're going to be in debt. And I see in the Facebook group so many people who say, I have it in the box and I'm afraid to open it. Or I have it in the box or open the box and I haven't used it for months. I don't know where to start. And that's because there's no planning up front. So I encourage you, plan. A lot of you already know who your circle is, and that's really good. That's step one. Immediately think about what the products are. And here's a funny thing, and Nilda can attest to this. Every deal that we get starts with Etsy. This is how funny things are. Every deal we get starts with Etsy, because we get basically someone sends us a screenshot and says, can you do this? And we joke and we say, no, we can't. But we follow up with the right answer, because the quality of what we're able to create with our lasers is higher than anything we see on Etsy. And every single customer that gets a product that we produce on any of these lasers say, wow. When they look at it, they go, you did this at home? Wow. And they compare it to the photo that they gave us, and there's no comparison. So everything starts with Etsy. So you should also take a look at Etsy, look at your industry, look at your circle, look at what products are out there, look how popular they are, and then think about what you could do. Again, sometimes side hustle or small business, you're going to find that you're not going to be able to stick with one. You're going to be able to get many. And if you're already someone who has a side hustle, take advantage of the deals. Right now is a great time to do that. But if you're somebody who's starting and really doesn't know where to begin, or you've already thought about where to begin, be very thoughtful of where you're putting your capital. Okay? All right. Asking one more question before we go into the demo. All right? What feature are you most excited about of the laser that you're thinking about purchasing? If you're interested in the F2, what excites you about the F2 that you want to do? If you're interested in the F2 Ultra that does both wood and metal cutting, carving, engraving, and it's super fast, what excites you about the F2 Ultra? If you're looking at the UV, what excites you about the UV? Put it in the comment area. I want to see what you guys are thinking. Let's see. All right, so UV, 3D acrylic. Glass. Cheryl says 3D, and she's like, D, 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 D. All right, so we have higher wattage. Philly says F2 tumbles and pen. Yeah, tumblers and pens. Those are really high profit, fast products. I love those products. The ability to engrave glass without treating it. Oh my God, that's an amen. What else do we have? 3D engraving. We have more glass engraving, glass, inner glass, glass, inner glass, UV glass. Look at all the glass. Metal engraving and embossing. We just, guys, we just did a wedding a couple months ago. Nola, how many coins did we do for that wedding? We did 30 Challenger coins. 30 Challenger coins for a wedding. We have engraving glass with the F2 UV glass. Yeah, embossing firearms. That's, as long as you're an FFL, go for it. What else you guys have? Glass, glass. Look at all the glass. I'm telling you, my favorite laser is UV. Hands down. It's my favorite laser. If you were to ask Nilda, anytime we get a job and we say, which laser are we going to use? She says, UV. She's like, she doesn't want to touch any of the other lasers. She just wants to do it on the UV. I love UV for acrylic and glass, but MOPA for bigger surface areas for coins and fabric. Yeah, definitely with the coins, no question there. UV glass and acrylic. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do, guys, I'm still available. I'm also available for any kind of demos. I'm also an xTool host, so I do demos as well. And for those of you who are interested in a separate demo, you can reach out to me as well, and we can schedule something. But what we're going to do is shift gears a little bit since we covered all the lasers, and now talk more about UV. And really, what I enjoy so much about UV is that it's a cold engrave. This is the type of laser that doesn't char the material that is being engraved. It is the easiest to work with. And so one of the philosophies that we adopt when we do work is we want something that has low prep and low finish. So that means I don't want to have to clean it. I don't want to have to prep it. All I want to do is engrave it and box it, right? If I have to do any kind of coating, so someone said about the prepping of the coin, doing the paint, not the coin, but of the glass, doing the prep, that's something that is a no-no for me. That takes too much time and it cuts into my profitability. Also, I have done it and I have sometimes left streaks and I don't get clean engraves in glass. And that's something that I just don't do. And we actually, before having a UV, we would not do glass because we just wouldn't do it because of the amount of work and we didn't make any profit, right? Or pay ourselves. The other thing I love is the fact that the UV has finite detail. I'm going to show you some wood coins that we did, which are really popular. And these are like challenger coins for parents. Like who takes care of the baby when the baby cries, right? So you do a decision coin that you flip. I'm going to show you a decision coin that you've never seen anything that has this type of detail unless it's a UV. If you compare it to anything on Etsy, it doesn't even compare. It will do color, but I'll tell you, while it does color, it's slow. It is very slow. I would not recommend it, but you can do it if you want. And also you have very low melting. And again, the precision is just fantastic. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to switch over to my close-up. Let's see if our mic follows with us. All right. Let's see what's going on here. I'm just going to keep the same window so that we can see this right here, since we've been having with the problems with the scenes. All right, can you guys see all the products that we have here? All right, excellent. All right, so I'm going to switch around, and what I want to do is I'm going to show you some of the products that I did with the UV, and then we're going to run a job on the UV. And the first thing I want to show you is with the F2, you'll notice that I have these small jigs that are 4x4. You'll notice that I have the dog tags there. I have also these bottle openers that are very popular for weddings. I also then have the Challenger coins that are wood right there, and I have a slate. The F2 is going to be engraving those without a problem. Matter of fact, every product that you see here, the F2 can do. F2 can do all these products. The F2 Ultra can do all these products as well. The only difference is, if you look at this glass right here, and I'm going to tilt it, you see this glass? If you want to do glass on the F2, if you want to do glass on the F2 Ultra, you have to coat it. That's the only thing. If you want to do glass on the UV, like this one right here, there is no prep needed. This is actually, I put a little 3D printed black piece inside so that you guys can see the actual quality of the engrave that you see there, right? Now I'm going to do something else. I'm going to go on the other side. And how is this coming across? Okay, that looks like it's coming out really good. All right, so this is a local bar close to us, and this was done on the F1 Ultra. Very similar to how it would look on the F2 Ultra. Now let me show you what it looks like if the UV does it. Get ready. That is with the UV. See that? Let me flip it over. Yep, backwards. So this is the Ultra, F1 Ultra, and then this is the UV. The UV, notice how darker. Look at how thin the lines are. Same graphic, same coaster. Beautiful. Let me show you this Challenger coin. If you've seen any of these on Etsy, let me know. Let me put this like this. Can you see that? Look how dark that is. That is not prepped. We've done nothing. All this was done was engraved. And I probably could have gone a little bit faster so that it didn't have kind of like there's some marking that I probably would clean up or pass some vinegar on it, and that will go away. But this was done on the Ultra, right? Dog tags, right? I'm not going to tell you which. These were done on the F2, the F1, and the F2 UV. And you can't tell which one did it. Right? I can. There's one of these is a little bit sharper than the other. All right. F2 Ultra. Shot glasses. These are great for weddings, parties. We get these ordered a lot. See that? All right. That was done on the UV. Now, Nilda just had this last week or the week before. I'm losing time. It's probably 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, we had a birthday party. She was reached out last minute order for a birthday for a young girl, 10-year-old. She was turning 10. And the mom wanted these hairbrushes. Remember how I said most of our jobs come with an Etsy post first? The mom sent us an Etsy post and said, hey, can you do this? We said no. We said ours looks better. And basically, we did, was it 10 hairbrushes? It was 11? Okay, 11 hairbrushes. What I want you to look at, look how deep that engrave is, and then look how dark that is. This is a bamboo hairbrush, right? Beautiful quality. And guess what? When she opened up the box, we have a UV printer. So we printed the box with a beautiful bow. And then when she opened it up, the wow started with the box. And then when she opened it up, she was wow, wow, wow. This is beautiful. Okay. Those of you who like 3D, let's do this. Okay. This is for inner glass engraving. Now, someone was asking about, talk about glass. You need to have K9 glass. Is that better right there? Okay, that's good. All right. So this is K9 glass. And sometimes you find sellers that say they have K9 glass. And then when you try to engrave it, it doesn't. I have 2 boxes of things that said K9 that's not K9. So the biggest challenge that I'm finding is finding a supplier in Alibaba that is reputable. I do know that xTool is working on sourcing these, so you'll be able to get these through the xTool website as well at one point. But I've been having trouble finding, because I've gotten it, it looks like it, it's heavy like it is, but when I start to engrave, nothing happens. And at first I thought I had a damaged laser, but then I went to one of my old glasses that I did for testing. It engraved without a problem with the same settings. It's the glass. So K9 glass is what you need if you're going to do inner glass. Now, if you're just doing standard glass, let me show you this one right here. So this is a coaster. It has Nilda's logo on there. I'll probably do this. Maybe that will show it up a little bit more. Oh, can't get the black. Maybe like that. Yeah, that's better. All right, so this was engraved, and how we engraved this is not inner glass engraved, but I engraved this side, and then this side is a smooth surface. And this just took like a minute to engrave, right? What many people didn't think was possible when they first started learning about UV was metal. This is a stainless steel dog tag, and that is a black mark. That is a beautiful black mark. And I'm trying to get it in a light that you guys can see it. There it is, right there. And this is not a black mark that has to be in a certain angle. Right now, the camera's not picking it up well, but when you're wearing this, you don't have to say, hey, look at my tag and the name. And they said, but wait a minute, look at it in this angle. That's not the case with this. This is a beautiful black mark that is visible in every angle, right? So that you could do as well. Let me show you diode. I will not say which laser did this. This is a bamboo pen. So this is my bamboo pen. Not good. This is a UV engraved bamboo pen. So can you guys see that? Look how black that is. Details stand out. Matter of fact, Nilda, when she meets with the local chamber of commerce for small business, she doesn't carry business cards, she carries pens. And when someone says, "Where's your business card?" she basically says, "Here it is, it's my pen." And they say, "Why would you give me a pen and not a business card?" And she'll say, "Because you'll throw away my business card, but everybody keeps a good pen." And she just told me, "Yeah, it's true." Everybody says, "Yeah, that's so true," right? Other thing, ornaments. You guys are doing ornaments? You know, one of the things I've been playing with, and you have to watch out because this could be toxic. This is shatterproof ornament. Plastic ornaments, guys. Now, got to be careful because depending on the plastic, it could be toxic. So this you have to have very good ventilation. But I was doing some testing and I was like, yes. You don't know how many people asked me for shatterproof ornaments. And you could do shatterproof ornaments. Right? So still dialing that in, but I wanted to share that with you. The power of UV here. This is just basswood. It was cut, and I want you to see kind of like the engraving there. No char, no dirt, no burn marks, nothing, no soot. And look how this thing came out so clean, so clean. All right, enough about that. We're gonna tilt a little bit, and we're gonna focus now on the actual engraving that we're gonna do right here. Oh, one other thing. Wine stoppers, big sellers for us. We have this display that we use, and people immediately come up to it. They kind of like, we have some that we've already made. We have some blanks. They just choose what they like, and we go ahead and make more on the site. All right, let's go and take a look at this. All right. Now, for those of you who are new to working with glass, I'm going to give you a power tip. So I just did this a couple of minutes ago, and I'm going to do it again so you can see how fast it is. We just put our logo on this shot glass, and I'm going to put it here without the black. So I'm going to put it here, and it's placed in a jig, and I've already did the alignment for it. Now, one thing that I want to highlight, I'm going to put something, let's see if the dot will show there. It's probably hard to see, but the dots are not meeting like they should. And I'm going to explain why in a second. I'm going to go into the xTool app, and I'm going to show you what I'm doing. Let's go ahead and switch. Let me go ahead and get out of this sharing. Oh, yeah. Possibilities are super incredible with this. All right, so we're going to do stops. I'm going to replace the screen sharing, and I'm going to go to this application, and then I'm going to share it. You can cut acrylic with UV. It depends on the color, though. It does have a problem still with clear acrylic. CO2 is what you would want to use for acrylic cutting. And that's what we kind of limit how much we cut. We use our UVs, like especially this. We use this for engraving, for marking, engraving, not for cutting. I do very little. If I do any cutting, it's going to be very little. All right, so a couple of things. Let's go ahead and I'm going to go over to a UV slide, and I'm going to bring this over to the side. And I just want to make sure you guys can see it. So can you see where it says 26.7 versus 27.9? Right? When you're working with glass has a different focus point than your standard material. When you focus on a solid object, that is your focus point. When you work with glass, it's not that point. It's somewhere lower than that, right? So you'll notice that the surface point for this shot glass was 27.9, right? That's the surface distance. That's 27.9 millimeters. But the actual engraving area was 26. So notice how I have right here, which says 26.3. That means that I lowered the laser head lower than the focus point that if I put a sheet of paper on top of it. And that's because glass, again, its focus point is more inward than it is on the surface itself, right? So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can bring up that site so you can see what's going on with the close-up in a second. But what I did was this. I'm going to go ahead and refresh so that we can see where that cup is. I'm going to bring this cup up a little bit, the actual logo. You can see where that logo is, right? And what I try to do is notice how there is a light area and there's a dark area, right? I try to put my image somewhere in between that light area. So I'm going to put it right there. Because what ends up happening is if I start getting on the sides too much, the curvature of the glass will mess up the focus, right? You'll start seeing that it won't engrave completely. And then what you'll have to do is just do a second pass. So never freak out. If you do an engraving and you find that the glass doesn't engrave 100%, just do it again. And if it doesn't engrave on the second pass, lower the laser one push of the button. Just tap the button once and you'll hear it go boom, and then engrave again and you'll get it. So don't worry, glass is really hard to mess up. Right, so here we have it. And for those of you who are going to get your laser, my settings are 100% power. I'm doing 80 speed, right? Actually 90 speed. I'm doing 40 frequency, and I'm doing 100 lines per centimeter. I'm not using a high resolution with this because this is a fat logo. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit process, and we're going to let it tell me how many seconds. Now remember, our philosophy is about low prep, low finish, and speed. You've heard when I've been talking about color that I don't like doing a lot of color because it takes too much time and it cuts into my profitability. I'm going to do this shot glass in 30 seconds. And I want you to think about, is that fast enough? I want to tell you, that's fast, right? I will do shot glasses all day long because of what you can charge and how fast they can engrave. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit start. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and switch back so that we can see the laser. All right, can you guys see that now? Did that come up? All right, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to lower. And we'll hit go. Pay attention, 30 seconds. Now glass, just like metal, has a sizzle. I don't know how to technically explain it, but if it's sizzling, it's good. It's like when you're making a burger. If the burger is sizzling, it's good. If you don't eat meat and you're a vegan, if the vegetables are sizzling, then it's good. So glass, sizzle means good. All done. Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. Let's go. Let's see what that looks like. Now, let's see, bring that up. So that is a quick engrave. I can clean it. It's not going to show up really well because I don't have a lot of lighting that I can reflect off of it, but looks good, right? 30 seconds, guys. How much can you charge for a shot glass? I'm not going to tell you my pricing. I can tell you it's profitable. All right, let's go to something else. I want to show you how cool this is. We're going to do a challenger coin. We're going to do a daddy challenger coin, and we make some that are really fun because let me see if I have the one that we were playing with. I kind of lost it. I don't know where I put it. But what we do is on the flip coins, we sometimes put daddy on both sides so that anytime mommy flips it or daddy flips it, it's always his turn to take care of the baby. So there's no getting away from it. All right, so we're going to focus this guy. Have him focused. We're going to close this. And the dots need to align with this one. And what I want you to see here is the quality of the engraving. And I want you to think about, you have a lot of lasers out there. There's a lot of lasers out there. All those lasers, if it's not a UV, you're not going to get this detail. All right, so we're going to switch now back to the app so I can show you this. And let's go do a share again. Give me a second so I can get there. And okay, you guys can see it. Good. All right, so we're gonna finish this. And now, oh, by the way, some of you guys are asking about the jigs. That's Nilda's store. That's Creative 3D Engravings. Black Friday sale going on there as well. Creative 3D Engravings on Etsy. All right, so take a look at this. I'm gonna take this right here, and this is gonna also show the precision of the laser and camera. All right, so we're gonna zoom in. All right, so this is, whose turn is it? These are great, especially when someone has a newborn, right? Parent decision coin, daddy's turn, flip for your fate. Make some that have daddy on both sides, and then give them some that has daddy and mommy. Every time we do that, people love it. All right, so settings. I did 2 settings here. For the baby, I did 80 power, 200 speed, 800 lines per centimeter, frequency of 50, right? Nothing else. There's no crosshatch. There's nothing going on, right? I did outline it because I wanted to have some good detail. Over here, I changed the power. I did 80 power, 300 speed. So I'm making it faster because this was coming out a little bit too deep, and it's thicker, right? I left the frequency the same. And again, no crosshatch, but I did do the outline. We're going to hit a process. And we can see it's here. And this is going to take 1 minute and 21 seconds. A little bit longer. Interesting that it takes longer than glass. And I could probably speed this up. But we're going to hit start. And now I'm going to switch back. I'm going to bring you guys back so that you can see what's going on screen. Let's go ahead and get that guy up. All right, you can see it. Let me turn on my AP2 behind me. And I'm going to hit go. Now, what you're going to see is every character is being engraved. I chose to do that on purpose because I wanted you to see the actual quality. Lower the AP2 is loud. You can see it. Look how dark that is. No borax, no prep. That's just wood. Now it's doing the detailed. You're going to see how nicely detailed the baby and daddy's turn. Again, the overall quality and definition is spectacular. Every cutting board that Nildo does is on a UV. We used to do diode, we used to do CO2, and since we have UVs, we don't do it. I actually have 3 other UVs that we use, and we're not using those anymore because this one has a camera. The other one has no cameras. So this makes it even easier for us to engrave, and the amount of time it takes for us to line things up is better and faster. And again, I think I can make this go faster. But see the trace, how I did the outline? All right, that was fast. So now let's take a look at what that looks like. Look at that. No clean, no burn. And it's dark, dark black. And then look at the detail for daddies. Look how thin that font is. And then look at the baby. That's the baby. And then what you do is you do 2 sides, daddy. So when they flip it, it's always daddy's turn. Hey, mommy did enough. Yeah. So we have a lot of jigs that we use for all our UV products. And literally, I don't know if you had seen this, but when we're doing bottle stoppers, when we do it big, right? So we can do it small, we can do it big. If we're going to do pens, in order to be able to get that profitability and that speed of $400 an hour, you need to have jigs where you can just align them and run them. So we do a lot of that. That's every single jig that we have and that we use. I make them for Nilda, and I make them so that she could do things fast, easy, and repeatable. We like every single pen to line up. We like every single time we do something on wood like this to be perfectly aligned. And the only way you get that perfect alignment, in our opinion, is when you do it on a jig. So hopefully that gives you an idea of of the power of UV. It's glass, it's metal, it's so much more than just, again, just doing glass. And when I again was learning with the team that xTool was coming out with the UV, I was so excited about it because again, UV has so much opportunities. It's the all-star of, again, of lasers. It just period. It just does. Again. All right, let me go back to this one. Yeah, for whatever reason I couldn't show that. What I'll do is I'll use this camera. I'll switch the camera so that we can keep the sound going. So the question I was answering was, does the quality of the glass matter? And I was saying that the quality of the glass does matter, because if you don't have good glass, the frosting isn't good, right? And it's just something that I've learned. I use crystal. I use, again, different type of glass that helps me with the overall quality of what we're engraving. So there's a question here: is it hot to touch after any of the different materials? The answer is no, except if you're running a deep mark on metal, it will warm up, but it will not warm up anywhere close to what a MOPA will do, or a fiber. But everything else is cold. The glass, when I pick up the glass, it's not hot. Now, I've shattered glass. When I'm trying to find the focal point, I have shattered glass, and when you touch shattered glass, it's warm. It got hot. But that was my mistake because I had too much power and I was going too slow. What was that? It's like, so let's see. No, yeah. So here's a comment about no burner char. Absolutely no burner char. Do you make those molds and the whole glass? Yes, we do that for glass too. The question, here's a comment, and I would say amen to that. Power is in the jigs for sure. What is the other? Does the F2? Let's see what else. I'm looking. Here's a good question. Will lasers make those molds? You can make them out of wood. So before we started doing 3D printing, we were cutting our jigs out of wood. We just went with PLA because for us they were more durable. And literally every single product, if you want to get a sense of how many different products Nilda works with, you look at what she has. She has over 400 jigs, and that's because she has done over 400 products. So every single time, that hairbrush that I showed you, as soon as we got that order for the hairbrush, the very first thing I did was make a jig for it. And I don't know if it's ADHD, I don't know what it is, but I cannot stand looking at things that are not the same. Like if I'm looking at 5 engraves and they're crooked and they're not aligned, I get heebie-jeebies. So, and I know Nilda's become that too, because as we've kind of like shared that, we become conditioned to look at things. But I'll tell you, when someone opens up a box and they see all of the small hairbrushes with all of the words, no matter how long the name of the child was, perfectly aligned, it's quality. It will stand out and make a difference in your job, in what you do. What was the question? Okay, let me see. All right, so there's a question here about Brazil. I wish I could buy xTool, but they don't send to Brazil or Paraguay. Reseller here doesn't have P3, or everything is twice the price of the US. xTool is on this stream, so I hope that they'll be able to look into that. Yeah, and this is exactly what Star of Texas Design says. You can't cut them out with wood, but you need to know the dimensions. Yeah, for sure. Let's see what other questions we have there. Yeah, Susan, another amen for you, Susan. No more borax. And you know, borax is toxic. Borax is not good. If you put borax on a cutting board that's going to be used for food service, that's really bad. You have to finish that board, and I would not finish it with oil, right? A borax board, because again, borax is bad. It's like poison. If someone ingests it, you have to paint it. So we never use borax. I will tell you, you can get a good deep mark when you're engraving wood, bamboo, but you have to do something that's called defocusing. So if you are looking at the F2 and you're wondering, can you get dark marks? The answer is yes. Can you get it as dark as the UV? No, but you can get dark marks. What you have to do is defocus your lens as you're engraving about 2 pennies. Think about taking 2 pennies before they disappear, 2 penny height, and you'll get a deep black if you do that. No borax. Power tip. Batch processing. Yeah, I got to see if I have something that I can bring up. But like literally, we could do all the pens at the same time. We could do all of the corks at the same time. I don't know if I have a model for that. I could do a demo separately on that. I'm looking at the questions. xTool machine makes. Oops, we lost your sound. Sound is back. Nice, nice. There's a question here about prints. Does the program allow you to do different prints? So for those of you who are new to the XCS software, xTool software first is free, and it's the most powerful, consumer-friendly laser engraving software in the market, hands down. And I will tell you, as someone who reviews products, I've reviewed them all. Like I have every laser on the market. Even if you don't see a laser on my channel, it doesn't mean that I haven't had it. It just means that I haven't posted it. Because when I post stuff on my channel, sometimes my viewers don't watch the entire video and they'll purchase something. Even at the end of the video, I said it wasn't good. So I don't post videos for products that are substandard. It has to work, it has to be easy, and it has to be quality. And I spend weeks testing. xTool software is the easiest by far. It's free, it's powerful, and if you could do PowerPoint, if you could do Word, if you can, again, type in an email, you can do XCS. And again, I just seen over the years, it's just getting better, better, and better. So trust that the software will help you get things going. I love this comment here, Jamie. I'm afraid my hubby will never see me unless he comes into the craft room. You know what I've done? We actually have this UV in our studio room that has our TV and where Nilda works. So we have 2 desks side by side. So Nilda's facing one side, I'm facing the other, and then we have the TV in the middle, right? And this is kind of like our work area. And I have this laser, the F2 UV, sitting on my desk right there. So what is it? A family that lasers together lasts together. Put that on a t-shirt. What else do we have? Here's another question. UV cannot engrave fine jewelry like gold, silver, titanium. It can. Now, the piece here that I just want to say is the word engrave. It's not going to carve the metal to the degree that a MOPA or fiber can, but it will mark and it will get into the metal. It will. What I would recommend is if you could get sample pieces, and run a test on that sample so that you could get your settings down, because you don't want to mess up a nice piece of jewelry. So what we do is, like, we do a lot of jewelry as well, and we get sample pieces that we can that are not perfect at a discount, and we'll basically use those pieces to do our testing. Also, if you're doing, let's say, non-precious metals, like stuff from Monarch Pine, really good company, has a lot of jewelry. And by the way, xTool has an enormous catalog as well. What we'll do is we can get test sheets, and we'll basically do all our testing, save those settings before we actually do it on the actual jewelry. So just keep in mind that you can do that. Here's a question or a comment from Ashley. Hello, everyone. Tonight is my very first time tuning in tonight. I'm an entrepreneur, designer, crafter, and my hometown is New Orleans, Louisiana. Well, welcome. Welcome, welcome. I love NOLA. Go to NOLA pretty often. So welcome, and I'll tell you, you're in good company. xTool has a very friendly community. So don't stop with this live stream. Make sure that you join the Facebook groups. Everybody shares, which is one of the things that also stands out with this brand, is the amount of sharing that takes place. So I love how much sharing is going on. And here's another one, Susie. So no more warping the metal with us, right? Yeah, I have not warped any metal with this machine. But again, I'm not going hard. I'm not trying to do color. I've done some color on this. It's just not my business model. And again, I don't want anyone to be discouraged to do color. It just doesn't fit our business model. So I don't spend time on that. I'm sharing with you all the things that we do that we turn a profit, and the things that make money for us, and that require a little work. That's just stuff that we do. Can a UV do tumblers? So I would put it in the order of the F2 Ultra will do tumblers very well. The F2 UV will also do tumblers. It is slower, but the detail is higher. The best laser type for a tumbler, which is error-free, is a CO2 laser. And either the P3, P2, P2S, or a Galvo CO2 would be your best choice. Those are going to be, but again, I do and have done a lot of tumblers and full wraps on my F1, right? And the reason why I've done them on my F1 and not on a CO2, first of all, I don't have a CO2 Galvo yet. I'm hoping soon I'll get one. But I just like the convenience of the camera and how easy it is. It's really simple to do on the larger laser, on this laser. All right, here's a comment here. You also need to explain the ease of the xTool ecosystem. This is why I like xTool. You don't need to learn another program. And that is so true. Carlos, thanks for highlighting that. xTool software works across all the lasers. Matter of fact, if you're using any of these lasers, it's the same software. If you're using the P3 that we talked about, it's the same software. The S1, the M1. If you're using the garment, the DTF machine, the apparel machine, it's the same software. If you're using MetalFab, same software. In every product that they create, it's using the same software. And here's the one killer feature. And this is something that I appreciate because I use Lightburn on some of my other lasers. xTool products are wireless. I don't have to have something connected to it. And I can run multiple machines at the same time. I could run something on my F1, my F2, and my F2 UV all at the same time. I can run it on my M1, on my S1, or my P2 all at the same time. You can't do that with other machines and other software. So if you're really doing large projects and you're scaling your business, remember we talked about start, run, and grow. If you're in the growth space, the more lasers you get from xTool, yeah, you're going to be able to grow because you'll be able to run so many things at the same time. Other question here is, does the UV work well with batch processing, auto setup after setting it up? Yeah, it does. It will. So xTool has a really neat software, an AI, that will recognize all the material on the bed. It will also recognize the material type based on QR. So it knows if it's a slate, it knows if it's wood, it knows if it's aluminum, it knows if it's stainless steel, if it has the QR for it. And it will also place your image on your products, and it will do it with, I would say, really good precision. It will be very precise. I'm kind of old school when it comes to this stuff. I prefer to do the alignment myself because some products that I get, I don't get many blanks. And I'm like paranoid of messing anything up, right? So if I get, for example, a Yeti tumbler, and that is a $60 tumbler, an $80 tumbler, believe me, I don't want to mess that up, right? If I have jewelry pieces and they're gold, silver, titanium, or even stainless steel that someone provided me, I don't want to mess that up. So I'm going to check, double check, and triple check before I hit go. And I will not use AI intelligence to do that. I will make sure that every mark is exactly where it needs to be. And that's just me. So more power to you if you trust it. I just can't afford to mess up a piece. Leather, yes, it can do. There's a question here. Does it do leather? I have a leather piece somewhere. Yeah, Nilda, do you want to put it on frame right there so that we can see it? So there's nothing engraved on that one. There's some. Is there another piece there? So we do have leather as well. So it will do leather. It will do leather koozies. It does multicolor leather. It does multicolor acrylic. Right? We'll see if we can find a piece. So for those of you who are asking, this is our store. I just put it in the chat. You can find us on Etsy. All right, so there's a question. Let's put this one up there. Great question, guys. Love the engagement. Is it truly, this is truly new to me. I want to learn. Any suggestions on where to start? So what I would do is first go to the xTool site. One of the things that you can do now, and this wasn't possible before, you can actually download xTool software, the Creative Studio, without having a laser. So you can download it. You can see how easy the software is to use without worrying and being intimidated. And you can see what I'm talking about. The second thing is that they have a lot of tutorials on their site, and they do have AI Make, which has ready-made projects. So if you've never engraved before and you'd like to be able to grab a project and just do it, they have it. The way I describe these products that we're seeing here, I describe them as appliances. I use this example quite often. Nilda and I love coffee. We love good coffee, but we don't want to be baristas. Like, we don't want to do the single pump, double pump. We don't want to run the machines. We want to be able to push a button, get our coffee ground, and then a great cup of either a latte or black, coffee. And that's what xTool has done. xTool has taken the science, the engineering of laser engraving, which could be really complex, and made it a push button exercise. And I know for some people that drives them crazy, but for 99% of the population that just wants to engrave, that's the best thing that they could have done. So it's super, super easy. All right, let's look at this other question. The machines do need a Wi-Fi network to keep the connections. So keep in mind, additionally, there's a noticeable delay in wireless mode. I prefer to run via USB-C for stability. Yep, true. So you do have to have a wireless network. I cheat sometimes, especially when we're on site. I do take cables with me as a backup, but what I do is I have a phone that I turn into a hotspot, and I use the same Wi-Fi name that I have at home is on the hotspot. When we go to an on-site event, when I turn on my hotspot, my xTool lasers think that I'm at home. My laptop, my lasers all connect to my home network, which now is my phone, and it works like a champ. I never use the actual hotspot mode on the lasers themselves. I use my phone. Yep, and even if I'm not connected, using the internet. That's just something to think about. Educational packages. Here's another good question. I noticed the educational packages had training. Yeah, and I will tell you what sets apart xTool, and I was pretty happy to see this in one of their events, is how much they give back to education, STEM programs, and there's just a lot of assistance that's given to the teaching community and children to be able to get into this space. They have great programs and great training. Another question on acrylic. Can the UV cut acrylic and glass? Depends on color, and it can cut glass. Glass for sure. Acrylic, it depends on the color, right? Clear is always something that I find everything except CO2. CO2 lasers do really well with acrylic. So all of our acrylic work, we do it on the P2. And this is where, when you're growing your business, we use our P2 for cutting all our acrylic. And then what we do is we use the F series to do engraving on the acrylic. Sometimes I'll do both on the P2, but sometimes engraving is too slow for me. So I'll do the cuts, which I can get done really fast. And then I'll use the F2s to do the engraving using a jig, because it'll be faster. Another question here, which is about Photoshop. Can you use Photoshop with xTool? Yes. The one thing about xTool software is that it uses, everything has to be a black and white image unless you're using the apparel printer. So everything here is going to be in SVG. So I do most of my work in Photoshop. And you can export an SVG in Photoshop, or you could do it in Adobe Illustrator. Now those are pay for programs, right? And they can be expensive. So I don't want anyone on the actual stream to think about that they have to get Photoshop. There are free versions of things that you can get that you can use as well. But I subscribe to Adobe Suite. I've done it for years. Prior to doing YouTube, I used to be a corporate educator. So I've taught for about 20 years. And I used the Adobe Suite, and I kind of am hooked on it. I'm kind of like tied into the ecosystem mentally. I know all the keystrokes, so it's hard for me to learn something else. So you can do it. Yeah, about the 3D printing for jigs is amazing. Absolutely. I'll tell you, I got into 3D printing for my son, and my son now works at a large 3D printing company that like prints for NASA kind of 3D printing. Not this kind of printing, but 3D printing is amazing. I recommend 3D printers for anyone, for children. It shows them math. It shows them measurements. Even lasers are great. I have some friends that have their grandchildren starting their own business in school, and they use the lasers. And again, remember, these safety shields that I'm lowering right here, the safety shield is safe, right? So, and then you have the air purifier. It's safe too. All right, so the question is, love this. Do you do video trainings often? Not as much as I used to. I'm trying to get more into it. But yeah, this is something I like this piece of training or of educating. We also have two communities. We have on Facebook that you can find us on that Nilda manages, where makers share ideas. We have one has about, I don't know, 12,000 members. Yeah, something around that. And then we have another one for UV printing that has about 9,000 or 5,000. I forget what the numbers are. But we have two groups where we do a lot of sharing. I also share a lot of business ideas on what type of products yield the most profit and which products you should be focusing on. And then there's a question here is, can you install third-party software for 3D? So I'm assuming that you're talking about the 3D glass. The answer is yes, you can, and I have, but xTool's 3D software is by far the easiest. I have 3 other software packages that I use, and I have used them because I use other lasers, and I find that the 3D software for xTool is actually the easiest. I'm going to see if I can bring it up. And let me see if I can bring it up so I can show you that piece of this. Because it's really about ease of use, and about doing a 3D photo is not easy in traditional technology. Let me see if I can open up, if I have a project here that I can show you. And I can show you how easy this is. All right, I have one here. I'm going to switch my share. We're going to be wrapping things up in a minute, guys, because we're going on an hour. Yeah, or have we been 7:30? Wow, it's been a little bit over an hour. Sorry. But I think we have good attendance still. So let's do this. Let me go ahead and do a share. All right. Okay. All right, so now you guys can see the xTool software. I'm zooming this up. Is it zooming it up there? Yes. So I want to show you. So this is what how their software works. So this is an AI generated couple, and this is what they call a point cloud, right? If you're thinking about 3D glass and you're thinking about where you can make money on 3D glass, doing a 3D carving inside of glass of a Pokemon, first of all, it's copyright. You don't want to do that. It's not going to be profitable. Where the money is in photos of wedding events. Where the money is, frankly, is also when someone passes, pets, memorials, babies being born, the ultrasound in glass. If you're at a let's say a birthday, any kind of event that can be commemorated, that's where the money's at. So what I like doing is, and I did a 3D, chess piece, right? Because I just wanted to do it. But what I'm working on is this. So you can see here the 3D glass, and this is again where the money is going to be, because someone, if you show them a picture of their wedding day, they're going to be all over this, right? And xTool software is really simple. Let me see if I can show you like where I went to make this. In their software, they have a couple things. And let me see if I can see. I have to pick the software. So you would go into, the option is not here because I would have to edit the photo. Let me see if I can edit here. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to grab the photo because I've already processed it. But literally what you do is you choose your photo, you right click on it, you choose edit. And once you choose edit, you'll be able to come up into a menu where all you're choosing is what you want the image to be. And you're just choosing it to be a 3D image. And it processes it for you automatically. Now keep in mind, xTool software does have codes or coins that you'd have to purchase. When you buy a laser, when you buy products from them, you're basically given tokens that you can use. And you could also purchase tokens. And you use those tokens to do the actual photographic modeling that you see here. This may not be a popular topic for many of you, but I just want to highlight one thing. I work with companies that charge up to $40 a photo. Up to $40 a photo to do what you see right here. And xTool is doing it for pennies. So there's a very big difference. Okay, so I'll see if I could set something up where we could do something and just go over 3D glass. But we're going long, and I want to thank everybody for participating. I hope that, I don't know who the winners are, so xTool will contact everyone on the winning side. Apology for all the technical issues that we had up front. We had multiple cameras going, and I'll tell you, we did a dry run earlier, and it worked. But that's how technology is. So I hope you enjoyed the session. I hope you learned a lot. I hope you know how or which laser you're going to pick. Take advantage of the deals. If you won the 100, using my code, now you get $150 off. That's the best deal you're going to be able to get. If you didn't get the 100, you still got the 50. And if you're looking for any kind of training session or would like to have a demo, actually, reach out to me. I'm on xTool's host page that does demos as well. Thank you for joining, and see you on Facebook.